and I'm sure it's really frustrating to start on the stock market reaction. But what do you think investors had done ahead of this? Had they got overexcited? We're seeing this play out with a few of the chip sector.
Look, it's really hard to predict the market right now, but we're incredibly happy about the company. I think we're executing very well. Our strategy is playing out perfectly. Everything we said we're going to do, we're actually doing better. And I could not be more excited about so many things that are going well at Qualcomm right now and the new opportunities we have in the future. I think the company is very different. We had expanded beyond handsets into a number of different markets. The results are showing. And there are very few companies like Qualcomm that can go from 5 watts chips for earbuds all the way to now 500 watts chips for data center. Yes. And I think that's how we think about the opportunity.
We can't wait to get into more on the detail of how you're jumping into the AI accelerator offering. But just going to the smartphone business, which is the bread and butter, what are you seeing at the moment? And particularly, what inroads are you making in Android?
Yes. So, I think this is a very interesting, and it's, every quarter we see this. I know there's a lot of conversation about it, but it's a trend that has happened to Qualcomm over the past several years. I want everybody to step back and look at what's happening with the handset market in general. The handset smartphone is the most important consumer electronic purchase in the world. It's our inseparable device. And people want always to get a better device when they buy a new device. What we see right now is the expansion of the premium tier. So the market, Caroline, the units of handset market is still smaller on an annual basis than used to be before COVID. But what has happened and is driving a lot of growth from Qualcomm and Android over the past several years is the premium tier is expanding in size. So if you look at the United States market, most of the devices are premium tier. Most people will buy like an iPhone or a Galaxy. That's now happening everywhere in the world. It's happening in China, it's happening in India. So we see premium tier expanding. That makes, a much richer market for us. And then we see phones becoming more capable, more compute, more AI that is driving silicon content. That's why Android continues to grow with Snapdragon 8. And I think the upside that we have seen above expectations is really Android expansion for Qualcomm.
Cristiano, good morning. It's Ed. What you've tried to do is diversify away from mobile and away from Apple, right? But there are so many categories. Now data center, but auto, mixed reality. Which of those is the fastest moving for you right now?
Look, right now, what you probably see in terms of the speed, it's automotive. I think we have been growing significantly on a year-over-year basis. And most of our growth, again, like the conversation with handset, has nothing to do about the market size. It's just us gaining share. Those cars becoming really computer on wheels, and we build a digital platform for the car industry, which is the Snapdragon digital chassis. So when you talk about diversification away from handset and Apple, a couple of things that actually came out in those results that are incredible. And it show what we've been saying we're doing it. We just closed our fiscal year. The non-Apple related growth in the company about 18%. And when you look at segments like automotive, we're actually doing significantly higher than that. And that's also the other segment as well. The other part of the question is what's moving faster. And we are incredibly optimistic about those new category of mobile devices, which we call personal AI devices. As AI models and agent applications started to appear for consumers, that's materializing with devices that people wear. Like glasses, for example, are really becoming agentic glasses. And we said $2 billion of revenue by fiscal 29. We're way ahead of that, just looking of how is it performing right now, especially with Meta.
This is the first opportunity we've had to speak to you since the big data center news, AI 200 to start. And the question that I've had most often for you from the audience is, what is different about Qualcomm's approach, particularly to inference? You have this AI accelerator family, or NPU, How is it different from an Nvidia or AMD GPU, a Broadcom Marvel XPU, or this large body of startups that are basically chasing rack scale solutions for AI?
Yes. So I'll start answering the question by saying the following. There's a lot of people that will love Qualcomm. There are people that are not going to like Qualcomm. But one thing everybody's probably going to say, don't bet against Qualcomm being a technology competent company. I think, look, just last year, we're the #1 company in America in terms of patent applications. And every market that we actually enter, we actually develop something very unique from a technology leadership. So now, to answer your question, what are we doing? We're very focused on the next phase of data center. The next phase of data center, if you expect all of those projections to materialize and all of those companies investing in data center and AI to deliver the profitability the market expects, they're going to have to do inference. Inference is actually when you put AI into production at scale. And if you see just some of the conversations you see in the market right now about concerns of growth rates, power is one of the concerns. You need a lot of energy. So we're coming from our DNA of building devices. They're very efficient in power. And we think about what are the architecture that is dedicated for inference, especially for the post-GPU, I think, architecture. And I think that's what we're doing. I think we're developing an architecture that is optimized to the highest possible compute density you can put on a data center for a very efficient power. And people are interested, and we're just busy executing. I think the other part of the answer, Ed, is why you not think that Qualcomm will have an opportunity to participate? The market is so big, we don't have to get a lot. Everything we get is multiple of billions of dollars.
Cristiano, you brought up a really interesting if. If some of the big numbers that are being bounded about by the big players come to light. $3 trillion by 2028 is what Morgan Stanley thinks is going to be needed in data centers. What if it doesn't? Is there a risk that we actually innovate because we have to innovate because there isn't enough power and suddenly that data center demand just isn't going to live up to that expectation?
No, for Qualcomm, for us, it's all upside.
So, but do you think, can I just get a take on whether you think that $3 trillion figure even is reasonable? Do you have any negative worries, any concerns?
Look, I don't. I believe that the need for compute is very clear. That's not only on the data centers everywhere. I think we see that on phones, we see that on cars, we see that on PCs. AI needs a lot more computing power, and I believe what that will actually do is create opportunity for innovation. And there will be competition. Right now, everybody's playing to win. Everybody's building data centers to win. And then there's going to be competition. And I think that's what our focus is. But I don't believe the trend and the need for a computer, you can have an argument about the timing, but the trend is very clear. Here's one way I'll describe it to you. And I'll be very careful with my words. The internet, when we thought about what the internet will be back in 1999, is bigger today. The internet's much bigger today than people thought. So I think on the long run, AI is probably underestimated. It's going to be bigger. The question is always going to be about timing, and we're preparing for when there's going to be competition.